Namaste, hello, and welcome to Agile Exploration Hub. I am your host Deshpandeji, and I am delighted to bring you second episode of Talks with Deshpandeji. Recently, we released our inaugural episode of Talks with Deshpandeji. In today's episode, we are honored to introduce Diana Williams. Diana is an agile practitioner working with a BFSI firm in Pune. Over 13 years of experience in IT, she transited her career from non-IT to IT. Diana is an energetic individual. She likes traveling. She likes to learn new things. She enjoys playing table tennis as well as singing and listening to gospel tracks. I am pleased to share with my viewers that I worked with Diana more than 2 years. If you find this video intriguing, please like, leave a comment. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss Agile principles and values from Agile Manifesto as well as Lean Agile with Diana. So let's dwell into today's episode. So, hi Diana, how are you?
Hey Nagesh, I'm good. How about you?
All good, all good. Yeah, enjoying Sunday.
Yeah, enjoying the Sundays.
So how was your day?
Well, I begin my day with a good coffee, and then thereafter I went for church. I had some guests who came to my place, and then we had some good talks, and that's how it's been.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
How
Yeah,
was
first of
yours?
all, yeah, my day was I'm relaxing. There's some work, household work that I have to complete it, helping family, spend some time in reading, and then yeah, that's all. Good.
Nice.
Nice, nice. So first of all, thanks for joining us today. And then as we, our viewer knows that we are going to discuss about agile principles and values, also the, lean agile. So let's directly dive into our today's discussion. So first of all, can you help me to, or understand that what is based on your experience, what is the most effective or useful agile principle that you think?
Well, that's a very good question, Nagesh. And I think in my experience, I think all the 12 principles are in a way very operative while we use the Agile and the Scrum model in our day-to-day work. And I think if I have to prioritize those, I do have two in my mind I could specify. So I think the first principle itself, which is our highest priority, is satisfy the customer. And how we do that is the early and the continuous delivery of valuable softwares. So this is, I think, on the top because our customers in any business, for that sake,
Hmm.
customers are on the top priority. And if
Right.
we keep the customers satisfied, we always tend to increase, expand, and grow our business. So that is the key. Once we keep our customers happy, I think that's all we need in a business. And moreover, I think we should also ensure that we deliver the softwares in a way that adds value to the customers, that is early and faster. It will not make any sense if we have the softwares getting delivered on a late basis. And I think another aspect to it is, like, one of the angle, if you have to look at it, is the
Hmm.
MVP, that is the minimum viable product. And we know that as with the limited features, we can offer our product into the market so that the customers can give their early feedbacks. And this will not include more of a cost from the organization side. But
Right.
however, once we get a feedback from the customer, we can actually develop what they exactly want. So yeah, I think this is one of the top most principle.
Yeah, yeah. See, you briefly touched based on few of the points. That one of the points that came in my mind as well. That sometimes customer doesn't bother. Then how many people are working, or how what is the code, or which coding
Exactly.
depth. Yeah, they only worried about the value. The how,
Value
if
what
the
you get.
business is their business going to work, right? That's the key essential thing that they are looking at, right? And
Exactly.
then,
And
yeah,
I have one example to quote here in terms of, like, we see Uber just started with, I think, uh, when the idea of Uber had come, there was the thought behind that was only a ride providing to the customers who need a ride, so drivers
right,
linking the drivers and the customers. But then thereafter we see that there were many features added to it, like the what do you say, the Google Maps were added to it, the review was added to it, and there was so much of features that got added later on. So this is a good example of the MVP.
good. And I see our viewers knows that we work together for long duration, and then something that I saw you, the way you work and all that. So and I know personally how you explain these agile values and principles to the people. But what is your method? How you will explain these values and principle to your team member, maybe, or someone who is new?
Um, I think a person who is too new to the team, the basics where I can start with is like imparting on making them understand what the core agile values are, and the as well as the principles are. So in terms of value, if you want to see, it's just individuals. So we know the first value of the agile is the individual interactions over processes and tools. So in
Right.
a way, we are trying to give more attention or importance to the people rather than giving it to the tools. So tools are anyway supportive, but we know
Hmm.
that unless and until we have a collaboration or a team in place, we will not be able to actually use those tools. So
Right.
I think the first value itself all the values are important, but I think to a very layman person, if I have to explain this, it is making them understand how important they are to the process, and how they can, if they are motivated in a way, they
Hmm.
will be able to execute the tools in a wise way.
Right. Right. See.
Coming to this,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, see, I was adding the same point here. See, the tool is there to leverage, to help you. Okay, a tool is not
exactly,
going to do your work. The people who is going to do your work.
exactly. And then there are the second value, that is all about working software. So working software over the comprehensive documentation. So we know in the project management, like you also closely work, Nagesh, on the project management side also, and we know that there are comprehensive documentations that are getting
Yes.
built up. But as you said in the earlier statement, that the customer is not interested in looking at how much documentation you have maintained towards it, but what is a working software, or what's the value that you're going to give to the customer actually. So the
Right.
features, the customer is more so whatever we ship, we should give that as the more priority, I think.
Yes. See, little important documentation is important. That's true. That's not okay. I always give this example. For an example, I have gadgets, these headphones, maybe mobile phones and all that. It comes with a lot of documentation. If you open the box, unbox it, and you will find a
Yeah,
lot of. Forget it. How
exactly.
many of you do we really read those documentation? Not really. We
Mhm.
directly start using it. But still, the value is there. The documentation is needed, and that
Yeah,
holds the value. But how much documentation? It's in our hand, right? Good,
yeah,
good,
over
good. That
documentation, I think
yeah,
over
over
documentation is
documentation.
not required.
Yeah,
But in agile or in the scrum, what we follow is like the simple implementation of your user stories, the requirement getting broken down from an epic to a the initiative epic and to the user stories, and that's how maintaining precise documentation, I think that is valuable.
yeah, keep it
And
small, keep it, concise and useful. Yeah, we'll come back to that topic sometime later. Moving on to our
exactly.
very interesting point is like these agile values and principle we read, we we are mastering, we are moving on to that direction. but how you really try to implement, or have you implemented any of those in your personal life?
Um, yeah, I did. So one of the principles which is very close to me, that is the principle number 10. That is simplicity, which is um, simplicity and simplicity in terms of the work that we are doing it. Make keep it very simple. It's the art of uh, work that's not being done, and it is
Hmm.
if in an efficient way. So what does this principle talk about? It is keeping whatever work we do, we keep it very simple and not to complicate that in a way that we'll not be able to do that further. If I have to give a good example of this, it could be the boards that we maintain, the Jira boards that we maintain. In that, we have a lot of things that gets piled up in the work in progress, and I think
Right.
it becomes very difficult at a time to work on many stories at a time. So it's always advisable that we pick and choose the work which is of a high priority or giving value, and then implement that. So in a way, we have a sequencing to our work. And in my day to day life also, if I have a to do list which is full of plenty of things that I need to cover in a day, and I think that's not going to get value at all, so I try to prioritize them and put it in a way that which is going to be most useful for me for today. So that is
Yeah,
how I
I
sequence it.
yeah, I know. You always remains busy, you always stay busy. And I also seen how you prioritize the thing. So good job there. Good, well done. And then
Yeah,
another
thanks.
thing is, um, see, we are doing lot of things when we actually work with the teams, day-to-day activities with the teams, So how you explain these things to your team, and how you make sure that the Agile Manifesto values and principles are followed?
If you the mindset of an engineer is tuned in a way that they want to get into the development as soon as possible. So that's the first practice I've seen, that everyone wants to get into the development mode. But it is as the responsibility of a scrum master or a agile practitioner or any project person would be that guiding the team as to what steps they need to take. So in a way, if we align our ceremonies and we impart those ceremonies with the team, so the team understands what are the steps towards the development. So they will not jump into the development, but I think they should first begin with what the requirement is all about. So making the team understand, along with the product owner, along with the whole team, making the development team understand what we are going to build, what is our goal, what is where are we going to get into, planning the sprints in a way we have healthy backlogs planned, and then getting this work delivered in a way that they will be able to achieve in the given sprint. So that is one angle to look at it, understanding if they have the clarity on the user stories that they're going to work. So these are the few initial steps or the practices that Scrum Master as a guidance can provide to the team. What is their capacity, what looking at their velocity, and then help them grow in this slowly grow in this area and take them to the development part, I think. Yeah.
That's that is interesting. Yeah. So far we discussed about development and development teams and all that. But for my viewers, I would like to share some interesting thing.
Yeah.
I feel Diana is one of only Scrum Master or Agile practitioner that I worked with. There are many in the industry, but she's the only person with whom I worked has worked with an HR team to implement Agile, not a software development team. I want to hear your experience, Diana. It was very unique experience. I know the work that you have done with the HR team was tremendous. It was amazing. I heard a lot of stories about it, but I want our viewers to hear those stories.
Sure, Nagesh. And that's a great privilege that I had when, in my past experience, when the mentee mentorship program had existed, and there were some nominations that were collected to get into this program, and I nominated myself as a mentor as well as a mentee. Being a mentor, I was very fortunate to get one of the HR members as my mentee, and there is how this thought process or how I can implement the Scrum Agile practices into HR was that clicked my mind, that how we can implement this into the HR with the HR department as well. So there was this book that I read, which is Agile HR, because I was thinking that my practices I could share with them, and that's what the first session when we had the mentor mentee, I did give some information and the journey, that how my journey has been from a Scrum Master, how it grew, and what stage I am at. But getting these practices with the HR, it's a challenging task. But how did I get into this? Or I got a direction from this book, Agile HR, and that talks about delivering the value in changing world of work. So this particular book has helped me to understand how the Scrum practices could be blend with the in the agile world, and how they can achieve it. So the challenge what the HR mentee had was the the cost and the investment that has been made on the trainings of the trainings and the skill development for the employees was the biggest target there. So we thought about what could be the good ways of achieving this or reducing the cost. So one of the way we thought is the self organizing. When in Scrum we do self organizing,
Right.
the same practice we implemented there, and we came up with the idea that why not we ask the employees to come up with the courses that they want to take up. It can be for that sake, it can be any course that they want to take up, and then we tried to segregate this. So this was quite a need based on what they required. It is not that what the company wants to give them, but
Right.
it came like a self-organized course. And we could achieve this because we got a list of courses, and then we were able to reduce on the budget of what was been planned earlier, and what's the budget that they are taking up now. So that's a self-organized decision, and I think this has really helped. So that's one example. And one more example I would like to quote was in terms of how so there was another challenge that the HR mentee had faced in terms of the how do we track. So there are many initiatives the HR runs, like it's kind of the trainings that are to be given,
Right.
the company attritions that happen. So attrition was another point where we thought that why can't we have a Kanban board, and we start tracking all the various based on the requirements. We started tracking how means how many attritions have been done. This kind of data we started gathering, because the main intent was there was no evidence to it, what is
Oh.
happening and what is happening in the organization. So we wanted to get some data around it, and we thought that good way of collecting the data would be showing or creating a visibility on the Jira board. So that was one of the action items then we implemented.
Amazing experience. I would have, I
Exactly.
would have loved to partner you in that activity, but never mind. So you also mentioned about processes. So whenever I see heard processes, specifically I'm talking about uh, non-IT, like non-software development thing. So processes, I also try to link them to the lean values and principles, right? So how was your experience about lean values and principles, or working or using lean?
Right. Whenever we hear the word lean, it's always in our back of my mind or back of our minds. We have that about waste. The
Hmm.
concept of waste comes in picture. So lean agile is in a way to help us reduce this waste. So that waste can be in throughout the development process. We see that there are many places where we can actually the team might be wasting their time in it there are 8 types of waste, but I think for from the software point of view, if to talk, then it
Hmm.
could be the time that's been spent on a particular issue. So I think waste is in a way very tracking waste is in a way very helpful, because your lead time, cycle time is again dependent on the amount of work that the amount of time that has been lost. So I
Right.
think how did I learn about the Lean Agile, and how my journey started with Lean Agile is uh, a way where my team was facing a lot of issues in terms of getting many production defects, and
Oh,
then this time was being utilized rather than utilizing it on the exact stories. They were utilizing it on the production defects, and this caused a lot of focus on the sprint was disturbed, and therefore to this what we tried to do is, like, we tried measuring this waste, and
mm,
then we slowly try to analyze what are the problems. So is the problem with the code, is the problem with the review? We try to retrospect these things, and then um, uh, we try to get in some practices like strong peer reviews, then having a continuous integration, so we don't lose time on the production defect. So that is one of the areas we touched base. That's
yeah,
how
that
Lean has helped us, yeah, there.
that's nice. That's interesting. So normally when I work with or I interact with other agile practitioner or scrum master, specifically those who are new in the industry as a scrum master, they only focus on scrum. You know, and
Yeah.
that's where the gap. That's where they need to focus on some of the other practices or other frameworks as well. Like you just touched based on Kanban, you just touched based on Lean. So read about this. What I will recommend to to those who are growing in their career as a agilist, as a scrum master, read about these practices, read the books, connect with other peers, try if, or understand if they're following these practices. If not, and then
Yeah,
read.
exactly.
Hmm.
Because Scrum
So
will just limit them to a certain
hmm,
extent, but I think having a touch base on the other practices is going to definitely help them in the long term journey of a Scrum Master. For I think, Ragesh, for us also, we began with very small, like we just started with Scrum, but then
right.
gradually we grew to the scaled agile. We grew on the different the Kanban framework, and this is how the journey was. The things were exploring for us. So I think it's a good suggestion that we don't restrict ourselves only to Scrum, but then use these other practices. That's going to be really
Right.
helpful.
Yeah. So practices, as well as I was adding to the point that collaboration is important.
Different. Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
correct.
I see. I'm repeating again and again that I had a privilege working with Diana, and the collaboration between the all the Scrum Masters, including Diana, was terrific. We used to discuss each and every problem, each and every thing that we are facing on day to day. We used to discuss learnings, we used to discuss problems, we used to discuss failures as well. See, normally when people meet and they only discuss success stories, but are we used to discuss failures as well, and then the experience or the empiricism come into the picture, and then Diana used to provide us a lot of variations or a lot of solutions. How can we improve from what we are currently failed at? So it was great. And but then I also want to hear that um, what are the benefits that you noticed being an agilist.
Um, there are so many benefits, Nagesh, to it. So if I have to just like count on them, maybe the first thing is that you are bringing a streamlining in the processes. So I think the things which are scattered, just imagine a world which is without Agile, or which are without Scrum, or without the project management. Everyone will have their own opinions to deep dive and give a solution, but Scrum framework, I think Agile framework, they are the guiding lines for us. And if you're implementing it in a right way,
Mhm.
with the right practices, I talked about Agile values practices. So if you implement those in a right way, I think that's going to be a great success. The timelines will get met, the quality will improve. So I think these are the benefits that we can bring with the help of using the different frameworks. And um, to add to it, in a way, the whole team, we are getting some value. I mean, not some, but it's going to be a value to our organization.
Great, good, great thoughts. And then, I know you do lot many things and all that, but will you recommend any books, anything that we can read, or are you reading any books recently?
um the Unicorn Project is the one which I just started reading. I've not read much about it, but My recommendation, um, for the beginners, maybe the Scrum Guide is a good book
Awesome.
to read. And maybe Nagesh, you can quote some books here, because the Scaled Agile is one more, because I'm very I could say I'm very constructive, or very limited on number of books, because I think that at this point what's going to help me is building my agile knowledge, or maybe the practices on it. So only the books that I've read are these, but Nagesh, you can add up to it maybe.
Yeah, see, currently my focus is on more on communication. I'm not currently reading any agile book. I'm more reading communication books. So viewers can connect with me. I'll help you to the list. So currently I'm reading 44 ideas, 44 different ideas of communication. It's a very good book, small book. Already finished around 2021 ideas. So it's a good book that, so not just about work, but even in your personal relationship or your friends, or even in a social environment or social gathering, how can you improve your communication? So there are 44 ideas. It's a good book, small book. So I'll strongly recommend it. And Dinah,
Sure.
moving ahead, there are a lot of people, who aspire to be an agilist. They want to become agile, scrum master, agile coach, or what are a few tips and tricks that you will give them?
um if they aspire for a Scrum Master or Agile journey, I could say that they need to really, if first thing is, it starts begin with the interest. So do they really have an interest in it? If they
Right.
have an interest, they should go ahead for it, because um, I won't share my case here, but then I did have an interest in it. I was put
Mm,
into this role because the management decided that I should be
mm,
enter into the Agile and the Scrum role, and that's how I got into this role. But it is my interest that helped me, or that developed me further, and I started getting into this, deep diving into the Agile framework. So, and that's how I built my career. But first thing I would say, that interest is important. Second is your aspiration to where you want to be. So if you want to be a coach, if you want to be a program manager, if you see yourself at that level, then maybe you'll have to practice that more. And I think, um, to begin with, yes, you need to do a lot of deep dive, you need to do a lot of studies. It's a simple, people think it's a simple terminology, but then it's always a scenario based and an experience. So the more practical experiences you have, the more I think the knowledge you might get into those. So it is just a skill, I would say, and you have to groom into that skill. So in a way, your interest, your skill set, all these are going to count, but you need some good reading information, some good material on the videos, or how the initial steps the Scrum Master should start with. So these are the informative guidelines that we need to adhere to. So I think, yeah, that's how you're going to build yourself.
amazing. Awesome. That so much to do. That's true. Keep reading, keep exploring. And one more thing is that you mention is dream big. You know. So if you
Yeah,
don't dream big, you will not reach there. You will keep doing the day-to-day job otherwise. Yeah. It was
exactly.
it was amazing discussion, Diana. It was very, very. I enjoyed. After a long time,
I
we
enjoyed too, Nagesh.
yeah.
Uh,
So I still remember the way we used to team up and used to complete the work. I still remember, and I really enjoyed working with you. And it was privilege to have you on the Agile Exploration Hub. And again,
yes, Nagesh.
as I repeated in my previous videos, this is not the only time or the first time that Diana will be here. Diana is going to be here again, and sooner or later that we will have another discussion with you. If you have any questions to Diana, feel free to add it into the comment. I'm going to add her LinkedIn profile as well in the description. So do connect with her. She is amazing. She is really helpful, and you will love interacting with her. So Diana, once again, a big thanks to you for joining us today, and enjoy your rest
Thank you,
of the Sunday.
Nagesh. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's
See you all.
conclude. You, bye-bye.
Bye.